and welcome back to Irene's Book Club. Welcome back to another episode, and today we will be reading Should We Keep Animals in Zoos? Help or hurt? Do zoos help or hurt? Zoos are popular places and communities around the world. They are places where people can learn about wild animals by seeing them up close. Some people, though, believe zoos aren't good for animals. They think wild animals should only live in the wild. Should animals be kept in zoos? Before you answer this question for yourself, it's helpful to understand why people on both sides of this debate feel the way they do. Seeing things from many points of view makes it easier to form an educate or informed opinion about important issues. Know the facts. There are more than 10,000 zoos around the world today. Some people see zoos as places that keep animals safe and healthy. Others see zoos as places that keep animals from being free. The rise of animal rights. Wild animals have been kept in captivity for thousands of years. Before zoos, rich people kept menageries or collections of wild animals to show off their wealth and power. Then the first modern zoo was built in Europe in the 1700s. Over time, people began speaking out about the practice of keeping wild animals in zoos. The rise of animal rights movement and groups such as People for the Ethical Treatment of Animals, PETA, have led many to question whether or not zoos are ethical. Know the facts. The word zoo is short for zoological park or zoological garden. The word zoo was first used to describe London zoological gardens in the 1800s. Caring for animals. Zoos provide care for animals that they wouldn't receive in the wild. Animals are fed a healthy diet in zoos. In the wild, they might not be able to get enough food or the right food. Such problems such as habitat destruction. Also, zoos have veterinarians who provide medical care for hurt or sick animals that would often be left to die in the wild. In some cases, zoos help animals live longer. In 2016, studies showed that the most mammals live longer in zoos than they do in the wild. Know the facts. Zoos help smaller animals that are prey for larger animals in the wild. They live longer because they aren't hunted for food in zoos. Most zookeepers love the animals they work with and give them proper food and medical care. They also provide programs called enrichment that keep animals learning and active as they would be in the wild. Mental health concerns. Although many mammals live longer in zoos, some mammals live longer in the wild. Elephants live nearly twice as long in the wild as they do in captivity. Scientists believe the causes for this include elephants in zoos becoming overweight and stressed. The mental health of zoo animals is an area of growing concern. A number of zoo animals suffer from depression and anxiety. Their mental health suffers when they're forced to live in small spaces. Also, zoo animals go through stress when they're moved to new zoos and taken away from their family or pack. Know the fact. Zoochosis is the word commonly used for the strange actions and mental problems that an animal displays because it's in captivity. Zoo animals experience stress from people staring at them, talking loudly around them, and taking their picture all day. Saving species. Zoos play an important part in saving endangered species, which are groups of animals that are in danger of becoming extinct or dying out. Breeding programs in zoos around the world aim to increase the populations of endangered species. In most cases, the plan is to let those animals go back in the wild. The Association of Zoos and Aquariums, AZA, is the leader of caring for endangered species, is saving animals from extinction. SAFE program is working to help certain species stay alive through conservation plans and life-saving care in its 203 accredited zoos. Know the facts. AZA asserted zoos meet the highest standards for animal care and conservation efforts. The Californian condor, shown here, was saved from the extinction, thanks in part of the efforts of people working at the San Diego Zoo. The population of this species rose from 22 to more than 400 in 30 years. Can't go back. It may seem like a good thing that zoos release animals back in the wild, but there are often problems with the animals back in the wild, but there are often problems with this practice. Life in a zoo is very different from life in an animal's natural habitat. Zoo animals don't learn hunting skills since they are fed by zookeepers. They also don't need to stay away from predators in captivity, so they don't know what to do when faced with a predator in the wild. Zoo animals also don't learn to fear people. This leads to them being hit by cars or shot by hunters in the wild. Animals that live in zoos don't learn the skills they would in the wild. This can be deadly if an animal is released back in the wild. Teaching tools. One of the most important things zoos are supposed to do is educate people about animals. When children visit zoos, it often sparks a lifelong love for animals. They get to see wild animals they would never see otherwise in a safe setting. This helps them form a deeper connection with nature. Zoos show children that they share Earth with wild animals and that they must help care for endangered species and other creatures. This gives them a better understanding of why conservation efforts are important. Zoos also teach the public new things about animal habitats. Know the fact. According to the AZA, more than 51 million students visit zoos in North America each year. Zoos give children a chance to see animals in person instead of in a book or on a screen. The wrong lessons. How much do zoos actually teach people about animals? Some studies have shown that it's not much as you'd think. In fact, a 2014 study showed that out of 3,000 children who visited a zoo, only 1,000 of them learned something new. Groups such as PETA believe the biggest thing children learn at zoos is that it's fine to keep animals in cages instead of in the wild. Some people also worry that zoos make the public care less about conservation because people believe zoos are taking care of the problem of endangered animals. Know the facts. In 2016, a gorilla named Harbombe was killed at the Cincinnati Zoo after it grabbed a boy who fell in its habitat. This led many people to questions if zoos were safe enough for both animals and visitors. It's not easy for children to learn how animals act in the wild when they visit a zoo because the animals aren't in their natural habitats. Safety or freedom? In recent years, people who run zoos have worked hard to build habitats that are more like the places animals live in the wild. However, the man-made habitats still aren't the same as the natural world. Animals are often safer in the zoo, but is safety more important than freedom? People who support zoos believe these places save endangered animals and educate people. Others believe zoos do more harm than good. After learning the facts about both sides of this debate, what do you think? Should we keep animals in zoos? Know the facts. Some zoos clip the wings off birds so they can't fly away. This allows them to live outside, but it also keeps visitors from seeing what they truly like in the wild. Should we keep animals in zoos? Yes. Zoos provide medical care for animals they wouldn't get in the wild. Zookeepers feed animals a healthy diet. Zoos try to teach people about animals and the environment. Zoos save endangered animals. Zoos help people learn to love animals. No, zoo animals' mental health can suffer from being in captivity. Zoo animals don't learn to hunt or to avoid being hunted, which makes it hard for them to live in the wild. People don't learn much from zoos. Zoos animals aren't free and live in unnatural habitats. Zoos teach people it's okay to keep animals in cages. These are just some of the reasons people feel strongly in favor of and against zoos. Making a list and help you form your own point of view about important issues. Thank you, and see you next time on Irene's Book Club. Hope you enjoyed!